All right, everybody. That's right. We're back. We're live. We've turned off the chat. It's just the way things have to be right now. So what if we're killing engagement? It's not like there was that much engagement. Um, yeah, there's just so much. Well, okay, so we're gonna talk about. There was an article about Lorne Michaels in the New Yorker that I read because it wasn't behind the paywall. I guess it's excerpted from a longer book, so I'll talk about that and just kind of SNL. I know people are dying to hear about what else. Okay, this Dean Kissick article that everybody's talking about woke art worlds, and I guess just kind of the greater vibe shift of 25. I'm on this Reddit forum, Decadeology, which is exclusively devoted to my one of my favorite areas of conversation when decades end and begin, and the meaning of these kind of pockets of time, the rhythms of the greater vibrations of history, and it's like we're on some kind of sine wave or something, right? And so it's all pattern recognition. I mean, that's kind of what astrology is, the movement of the planets. And so that's really what this is about, is just kind of decoding the greater movements of humanity among the planets and the kind of world systems, right? So we can all sense shit's about to change. We're moving out of the little Biden protective sanctuary post COVID. It's kind of amazing that we had such a nice bounce back. I just feel like I've been reading poetry in Elizabeth Street Garden since 2021. And now we're about to descend into fascism and prison planet. These wildfires, if you can call them that. I don't even know if you'd call it a wildfire. I don't know. They hit me hard in a weird way. Jay Leno is donating his personal fire truck to feed first responders in LA. I never thought I'd say it, but I'm kind of maybe this is a Pluto and Aquarius thing, but I feel like I'm kind of pro Jay Leno. I never thought I'd say that. I've always hated Jay Leno, at least since the late shift of 92. Jay wasn't that bad before that. He was pretty good. I remember seeing an episode of Jay Leno on Letterman in the 80s, and he was pretty cool, actually. He was young, and like, I don't know. He hadn't really become this corporate fascist shill. But I don't know. He's had an interesting, life is long and things do change and things kind of weave in and out. And so we're moving out of this 15-year cycle. That was something that a few people mentioned at the open mic last night. This one guy, I think, hadn't played a guitar in 15 years. And so he got up on stage and played, and it was amazing. And I hadn't watched Glengarry Glen Ross, I think, since like 2010. I used to watch Glengarry Glen Ross like literally every single day. You want to talk about toxic masculinity? Me and my friend John Ryan, we'd drink Miller High Life, and we'd go to, what was that bar? Mike's Grill in the Short North. I mean, I've always liked dive bars. I can't really handle yuppie cocktail bars, but I think maybe, what was that Liz Lesner restaurant? I don't know. I'm sure it's completely different now. Last time I was in the Short North was the Pint House era. Then there was a mass shooting in the Short North like a couple years ago. So who knows what the fuck it's like now. It's like a big Aeropostale um slash, country club for white Republicans. And so it feels like, I mean, Pluto is solidly in Aquarius. This is for the first time in, it's the first time Pluto's been out of Capricorn since 2008. And so every time 2008, that was like the financial crisis. We're now moving into a new Pluto. And so who knows what the fuck is going to happen. Sensitive souls can feel something is going on. My clothes are starting to fall apart. The last time like my life started to fall apart in this way was like 2020. I remember it. There's a line about it in an LA Story. I remember being in, what's that, Jesson's? What's that grocery store in Echo Park that we love so much? Oh God, I love that place. That was back when I could drink kombucha. I used to drink kombucha every day, believe it or not. I guess it's not that hard to believe. And I was like talking about my clothes are falling apart, my life is falling apart, I'm almost out of money. And this guy in the store is like, yeah, man. That's how you know. Well, it was weird because my life fell apart like literally the moment the pandemic happened. It was almost like a godsend in a way because I literally had no money. I mean, I had $0 fucking dollars. And all of a sudden, bing pow. Everybody had 20 grand all of a sudden a month later for free. For free. And God, it was amazing. It was like intoxicating. I think that was the point. I think the pandemic would have been really traumatizing. I mean, they shouldn't have sent fucking Chris Brown $10 million and all these celebrity, Lil Wayne got $10 million and shit. It's like the PUA or whatever you want to call that, the PPP loans that were forgiven. It was way, 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 way too much. But the little people deserved it, The people like us deserved it. They shouldn't have changed anything about that. But those PPP loans that they just gave millions and millions of dollars to rich people, that's the reason why we have the fucking inflation, to be honest. That's like all of the liquidity and shit that was not very thought through. I mean, all they did was go out and buy sports cars and shit, private jets. I took my PPP loan and bought a G6. I bought a Gulfstream. Because I had to create jobs for the pilots. We were all rich. If you survived COVID 21, 22, 23, you were balling. But we'll be paying for it for the rest of our lives. We were balling for about a year before things caught up to us, and now rent is untenable. Cost of eggs, famously, people threw away democracy because of the cost of eggs. I do also want to talk about my last live stream. It was a little harsh. That's the sober me, okay? That's the real me. When I really have to deal with the discomfort of living. Oh yeah, I want to talk about the movie Pump Up the Volume. My stream of today is called Pump Up the Volume. Have you seen this film with Christian Slater? Oh, the cat's going to leave. The cat's like, this fucker needs to shut up. I can't sleep through this. I don't even know the cat's name, to be honest. I have no idea what the cat's name is. Maybe we should name it. All right. It seems chill. It's chilling. So now I have a cat. If you're not into the live streaming, just watch the animals. Yeah, so the last live stream was pretty raw. I apologize. There was nothing personal. I was not personally aiming that at anybody that I knew. It wasn't like, fuck you, assholes, for being rich that are my personal. I don't know them. As far as I know, I don't know any rich people. I mean, that's part of being in New York now is like just trying to make friends with rich people. Hoping a little bit of that'll rub off on you, I guess. But I don't do that. I don't strategize about that, and I didn't mean anything personal about anybody that I know. Everybody who comes to open mic, we love you. Please spend money. So yeah, last night's open mic was unexpectedly kind of like really emotional. There was kind of because I was sick. I was literally sick from Monday the week before. I was in this exact spot pretty much the entire week until last night. It was, um, and I was still kind of cranky and I've got, my mouth hurts, so I'm just kind of pissy. I'm in a pissy mood. I know I'm kind of famous for just letting people walk all over me and just being a people pleaser. But last night I just was not fucking putting up with any of the bullshit. Well, I did miss a couple days of putting up Instagram stories to promote it, so that the turnout was a little under what it should have been. Usually we kind of build through January. Although you never know. I mean, year after year, you don't know what the hell's going to happen. That's one reason why I read the SNL article, because I'm like, it's been going 50 years. There's ups, there's downs, there's entire bad seasons. Not that's not what it's going to be. I mean, we had a great show. It really was kind of an impactful show. You can watch the live stream. I actually did live stream. It was I mean, in that sense, it was groundbreaking because it was the first show we ever live streamed, actually. And that iPad looked like shit. It looked worse than the camera that I typically use, surprisingly. It's this fucking Apple technology. It's HD and shit, but it didn't look a whole lot better than the camera that I typically use from 2001. But it was live. We didn't have that many viewers or anything, but I was able to broadcast the entire fucking show from start to finish. It's on YouTube. You can watch it instantly, just like instant fucking oatmeal. It's there. It's for you to watch. And so in that sense, it was groundbreaking. We're trying to figure out what the future is, okay? I'm always trying to live in even though I hate the future, I hate the science fiction future that they're kind of like insisting on or is going to be our reality. It's 2024, man. I mean, we're beyond 2001, A Space Odyssey. We're well beyond. So we're firmly in the future. That was in that SNL article. It's something Steve Martin said. He thought he had the avant-garde comedy. And when he saw the SNL before he hosted it, he thought, oh, these people kind of beat me to it, or they're there as well. It's interesting to hear Steve Martin, but I guess you could call it that. You could say that humor in the 70s was avant-garde. Things like Andy Kaufman, Steve Martin, even though they were massively popular, we're still kind of living in the in the Steve Martin. And when I'm thinking about my stand-up comedy shit, I'm like, this would have been funny 15 years ago. It's kind of too late. I feel like the avant-garde, when I saw Lonely Island, I never really liked Lonely Island that much. But when I saw Lazy Sunday, you kind of thought, okay, well, those guys are compared to like the fucking like SCTV wannabe sketches that I'm making on my mini DV camera. Lonely Island were kind of like, I don't know, the Albert Einstein of fucking millennial comedy. Like I said, I'm not that. People like them. Women like them. People listen to fucking I'm on a boat and shit. We failed, okay? We're lost. We're show business. We're never was. We're never wases, okay? We're wannabes. We're has-beens. We're washed up. We're not even one-hit wonders. We're open mic. We're open micers. I'm an open mic host. That's the most parasite kind of a position you can have. No, I'm just kidding. That's self-deprecation. That's insecurity. We won't have it anymore, okay? Forget I said that. We're confident. We're proud. We're proud of what we do. We are the avant-garde. Fuck Saturday Night Live. Fuck fuck is Kyle Mooney avant-garde? Is he the newest? Apparently the Y2K movie sucks. I started to watch it a little bit. It was okay. I want to like that stuff, I guess. I want to be hip. I want to be with it. I want to be an alt yeah, so yeah, the open mic. I mean, we had Giorgio Rosa on last night. That was a treat. He hasn't been in a while. It was a great show. I mean, it was a hard show. The audience doesn't like me, I don't think, anymore. I don't get any applause anymore when people say my name on the stage. I go, give it up for Matt. Nobody claps. So my opening monologue, I tried to like talk about the wildfires and shit, and I wasn't trying to do it in an insensitive way. I it's just like, to me, it's like I do want it to function. I want it to be like an improvisational jazz poetry weekend update or Saturday Night Live type thing where it's like we're responding. Or, everybody does a fucking monologue. Conan, Johnny, they all do a monologue where they talk about shit that's going on. To me, I want to do a monologue that's sort of responding to the events with some kind of esoteric, poetic, tribal shaman, something that's truly unsettling. I don't know. Like, that's just where I go with it. I think I'm knocking it out of the park for people. I'm amazed that the audience is like sitting there like stunned. Like, what the fuck is this guy do? He's crazy. I'm giving it 110%. I'm doing an improvised Broadway style, cabaret style, immediate response, and I don't plan any of it. I mean, I did want to do a bit about Mel Gibson. I forgot to talk about Mel Gibson, but the thing that I've noticed doing the open mic is like, you can't joke about this kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to joke about it. It wasn't meant to be a joke at all. What are we supposed to do? It's like, I guess I could have tried to raise money or something for some kind of charity thing. To me, it's like it's all about raising awareness and talking about it, giving people. I don't expect anybody else. I mean, this one woman did read this pretty incredible knockout poem about California, which was pretty cool. But I don't expect anybody to do that. I don't. Is that corny to be like, oh yeah, there's a theme, guys. We're gonna read about California. I don't want to be too on the nose. And it did feel like the audience was like uncomfortable. I don't know. That's what I do. I have to go to the uncomfortable place and the place you're not supposed to go. Like Sam Kinison, right? He walked the room. We were watching the Sam Kinison special from the late 80s for inspiration. He walked the room. Norm Macdonald said he couldn't get a gig in the United States. Sam Kinison could not get a gig in the United States because he would walk the room, meaning everyone would leave. When Sam Kinison did his act, everyone left. So they wouldn't hire him. Now, I'm not making people leave or anything like that. Like, I think people are blown away. And I don't know. I'm not complaining about that. But it's just, I don't feel like I'm totally over. And I'm trying my best. I don't know. Maybe if I did cornier shit. This just goes back to my point last time. Fuck the audience. Don't worry about the audience. I do my fucking act for God, okay? It's between me and God. That's what it's really about. The gads. I also want to talk about how there are more Republicans than Democrats, okay? So I'm telling you what I'm going to tell you. I'm laying out. These are the bullet points of what we're going to talk about today. There are technically, I guess, for the first time in like maybe since 100 years or something, Democrats ran shit basically until the 90s, until Newt Gingrich's contract with America. Democrats had control of the House of Representatives literally for like 60 fucking years, since the 30s. Now there are more Republicans, I guess. There are more Republican identifying voters. It's no longer cool, is the bigger point. It's not cool anymore to be a Democrat. It's culturally, the cool kids are maggots. I watched Dasha on fucking Doom Scroll podcast, whatever that guy's name is. And she's an airhead. She's clearly a plant. They are clearly plants. They got these hot chicks who went to fucking theory. She's an actor, so she'll say anything to be famous and to get attention. And she's clearly on some kind of, she's on Valium or God knows what. She's probably on ketamine. She's on the Elon Musk ketamine therapy. And they think it's cool to be Trumpers. It's cool now in Dime Square, right? In Manhattan and niche Manhattan circles. You've got more cultural cachet if you're a MAGA red hat wearing, but not me, man. I'll always be a libtard. I will always think it's cooler to be a Democrat. I mean, I guess that's because I grew up before Republicans bought the internet, circa, early 2010s. That's when the internet, and Zuckerberg, the great sort of like hype beasting, broccoli hairification, sleight of hand. Let's talk about the broccoli hair instead of the fact that Meta wants to kill truth on their platforms. They're shilling for the Republicans because it's cool to be a Republican. I don't think it's cool to be a Republican. I think Republicans bought the internet and are trying to force feed this idea that it's cool to be a Republican. That's all I've complained about on YouTube. Why do I keep seeing fucking Curtis Yarvin videos? Okay? I don't want to see them. I'll never be in the alt-right Jordan Peterson incel pipeline ever. I will search out manually my incredibly obscure poetry videos and Gene Shepard clips. Show me Keith Olbermann, okay? I'll watch Keith Olbermann. I'll watch what Keith Olbermann has to say. I do not ever want to see any fucking Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, anything. I do not want to see Mel Gibson or Mark Zuckerberg. Rogan, get some fucking women on your podcast. Like, he's bought and paid for. They all are. None of these people are actually famous. There is no meritocracy on YouTube. Everybody on YouTube who has, like, viewers, it was paid for by Curtis Yarvin, by Peter Thiel, by right-wing activists and extremists, racist South Africans. They bought it. They bought the views. They bought young men's, views. And some of us are out here struggling. So there are some cool liberals out here, god damn it. Dark Brandon, okay? I'm all about Dark Brandon. In these final days of the Biden presidency, Jesus Christ. Smoke them while you got them. Who knows? This year hit me like a goddamn freight train. It hit me like a runaway train starring John Voight. I'm going to read some of my goddamn poetry, too. You can't stop me. It's all about free speech now, okay? We got all these freedom fighters now, like Zuck my fucking dick, asshole. I've always hated Zuckerberg. I've always hated all these fucking tech douchebags. We are occupying YouTube, okay? This is fucking radio-free fucking Midwood. This is radio-free Easy Paradise. And we're going to keep bringing it hard, okay? Every Monday night, live from New York. It's like having a theater in Branson, Missouri. I feel like Wayne Newton or Yakov Smirnoff. That's the ultimate show business arraignment. You're lucky if you're able to have a steady gig like that. I'm so blessed. May Easy Paradise, may KGB continue, because you're so lucky if you're able to have a weekly steady gig like that, where you can bring in an audience and you can bring in money. I was wiped last week. I mean, I was sick, so I didn't promote it as quite as good as I should have. I had a lot of cancellations, which I'm sure a lot of people got sick. I mean, I was sick, but I mean, we had a lot of cancellations. I was turning people away because we had so many signups, and then I had half the people cancel. To be honest, it was a lot of cancellations, and that's okay. I get it. I was wiped. The show must go on. That's one of the proverbial adages of show business. And I'm a firm believer of that. The show must go on. That's one of the things. That's what I love about show business. That's why it's the business for me. Even though the live streams haven't been going on, I've been taking a little break from these. I've come to the conclusion, I think that they are just a good outreach. The numbers go up and down, but if I don't do them, then the numbers go way down. I mean, literally, I got 0 subscribers. My viewing hours were like down to nothing. Believe it or not, people are not huge into my 3-hour-long vlogs, or even the open mics don't get that much hour. They don't eat up the time. Whereas like the live streams, to be honest, I mean, I would love to be able to do this in person on stage. It's impossible to find an outlet for this. I try to compact it into the 10 minutes I get at the beginning of every Monday. I try to, do sort of a miniature live stream. Epic. Of the news of the week. A living newspaper, as I said. The audience was not impressed. I don't know how to impress these goddamn people. They love Elvis Costello doing Muppet Babies. That's the most popular thing I've done recently, is Elvis Costello doing Muppet Babies. Which is fine. People love the hack shit, I guess. I don't know. All right. So let me get back to this Dean Kissick. Well, shit. There's just, okay, Pump Up the Volume. Have you seen Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater? I've always heard about this movie. He basically invented podcasting, or that's kind of, he's got a pirate radio station, right? It's kind of like that episode of Pete and Pete where he's got a transistor and he's got his own fucking radio station. That's the dream. In the 90s, when I was a kid, that was absolutely the dream. Was like, I wanted to get a transistor fucking antenna or something and broadcast this, basically. And I remember there was early on, there was a website, probably like 97, 98, 99. That was a Real Player website. I don't know if people remember Real Player, but Real Player was probably the first streaming. In a way, it was audio streaming, but there were podcasts. I remember I listened to Lance Storm. Every week he had a Real Player fucking show where him and another guy would talk about wrestling. That was in the fucking 90s. Back in the Winamp days. When you had fucking Super Mario World Winamp skins, or the Matrix Winamp skins. And dial-up on a 56K. God damn it. Trying to play Team Fortress Classic on a 56K. And thank God I couldn't. But in any case, Real Player was real as fuck. And there was this website where you could have your own radio stations, kind of. You could like pick songs to play and it would like broadcast it 20. I forget what it was called. But that was always kind of the dream. Get a ham radio or a CB radio. As a kid, that shit was exciting. Public access. There was limited bandwidth. So like this Christian Slater movie, he's got the setup. So it's like every fucking kid in school listens to his his monologues, which he's sort of like, it's like this basically. He just kind of waxes poetic about, I don't know, being a teenager, being horny or whatever. People used to tell me I looked like Christian Slater when I was younger. I got Christian Slater about as much as I got anybody. True Romance, right? And I don't think people really realize in the late 80s and early 90s, Christian Slater was like fucking huge. He was sort of like DiCaprio before DiCaprio in a way. He was a big fucking movie idol. Like, he was like young Jack Nicholson. I mean, his whole act was kind of, he looked like Jack Nicholson. And DiCaprio kind of did that too. But, I mean, Christian Slater was fucking everywhere. And he was he was like River Phoenix level, I'd say. And he kind of fell off sometime after very bad. I always liked Christian Slater. I've always been a Christian Slater fan. I'm glad to see he's kind of come back in recent years. He was on Curb. If you're on Curb, you've got to be good people. Larry is pretty much got the best casting intuition. He's got some of the best casting intuition in Hollywood. And Christian Slater was on Curb. So there's been a little bit of a Christian Slater run. I mean, he's in True Romance, for Christ's sake. He's Clarence. But he kind of fell off a little bit. Hollywood is cruel. For some reason, people are in, they're out. You can't get a job for decades for some reason. But Christian Slater's always been great. Real ones, real motherfuckers know. And Pump Up the Volume, I got to recommend it. If you haven't seen Pump Up the Volume, it's like a good John Hughes movie. Not that John Hughes movies are bad, but they're kind of like suburban and middle. They're like middle brow or something. I don't know. John Hughes is so great. Like, don't get me wrong. He's great. We all love John Hughes. He's an auteur and he's a serious artist. But I think John Hughes takes like extremely highbrow stuff and kind of like crams it into like middle brow. Like, his movies are just all over TBS and how many times have you seen Weird Science or Ferris? And they're great. I mean, Ferris Bueller is like the movie of my life. It's everything I've ever wanted to be. But they're also, I don't know, they're kind of like accessible and suburban and like, I don't know, fast food or something in a way. I don't know. Is that we love John Hughes. I don't mean to like shit on John Hughes, but Pump Up the Volume is like a high school 80s movie, but it's a little more serious. It's a little more thoughtful and it's kind of an interesting idea, right? That the kid's this kind of pirate broadcaster. And now, I mean, in the era of podcasting, that's the difference, right? Is he's the only kid in his fucking neighborhood that can do this. So it's like all these girls are listening to him and shit. It's like now it's like every dickhead out there has got a fucking Bluetooth microphone and is podcasting and is streaming. I guess little kids, like one of the top 10 jobs that they want. They all want to be live streamers. Gen Alpha with their gyats. They all want to be streamers, man, like Matt Proctor. They want to be big-time streamers in New York, streaming to one person. Thank you for watching, whoever you are. You're keeping this going. I don't know. It's worth it. People do watch this. So in that sense, we're all micro influencers. We're all just making little ripples. And people hear it and, what the hell? There's just too much to fucking talk about. And this is like the perfect container for it. And so why not just go direct to the people, cut out the middleman. These are unfiltered, unvarnished. I didn't even unauthorized opinions straight from the horse's ass. Like Shakespeare. Lorne Michaels was comparing himself to Shakespeare. He said even Shakespeare had a Belushi. That's why he wrote Three Falstaffs. And he said even Shakespeare had to censor himself for the court and please the king. You know, that was his NBC. It's like don't compare yourself to don't compare, it's Pat. I don't know. Maybe is SNL the modern Shakespeare? I mean, in a certain way, it is the kind of closest thing we have to like live theater that beams out to all 50 states. Live original theater written by sort of a democracy of assorted playwrights, anonymous. You don't really know who writes the sketches, actually. I think they should tell you. I think they should tell you who writes the individual sketches. And I do want to talk about this Dean Kissick article as well. Have people read this Dean Kissick article? It was in Harper's. Well, this guy brought it up at the David Berman thing. And Dean Kissick is kind of like the Dean Emeritus of downtown style arbiter. Even though, I mean, to be honest, he's just kind of a hot, biracial. I mean, I think he went to private schools like in England and shit. I think he's from London. But he just looks like he should be on the OC or something, or the OC reboot. It's like he's okay. He's a smart guy, I guess. But I don't know. I read this article. It didn't really say anything that anybody who didn't have their head up their ass for the last 4 years didn't already see. I mean, I've been saying the same shit for 4 years, which is that, yes, we are in an age that's like very progressive, like identity wise, but the work itself is actually very retrograde and it's actually very conservative. They pigeonhole these artists and they force them to like these folk art roles like they're some kind of like tribal fucking people from anthropology or something, archaeology. And that's basically all the Dean Kissick article said, was that like wokeness, for lack of a better word, has made contemporary art less interesting. Or why is art less interesting is kind of the question that the article is positing. Art 10 years ago was trying to blow people's minds and push the boundaries and blah, blah, blah was dangerous. And now it just feels like it's not interesting. And he sort of attributes it to DEI or whatever you want to call it. And he's not white, so he's allowed to say that. But the article, I mean, I would say mostly is just sort of crediting the artists who have been exhibited over the past few years. It's mostly platforming, which I think is good. I think that was a smart thing about the article, but I didn't read anything that seemed like earth-shattering or even that. I mean, like I said, that this occurred to me probably 3 years ago, sitting there. Most of the poetry that I've heard over the past since the pandemic is like prose. It's oatmeal. It's like people wanting to write like Whitey. It's like this slow digested oatmeal. And I liked postmodernism. I like shit that's trying to blow your mind and push the boundaries and I don't know. I think maybe we'll start to get back to that. They're not mutually exclusive. They don't have to be mutually exclusive, really. Things can be interesting and multicultural, obviously. They don't, I don't really agree with that thesis of the article, like the art world sucks because of wokeness. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that it's because of wokeness that shit sucks. Like, I think it was a much needed um diversification and opening up things. Uh I think it was necessary and exciting, and it's ongoing. Things have changed permanently. I don't think we are in this moment where it's like, oh, it's going to go back to being like 2025 is the year of the bro. 2025 is the year of toxic man. Why? Here it is. Why 2025 will be the year of the alpha male. Oh, good. As if the alpha males haven't gotten enough already. Finally, the alpha males are getting some representation again. Alpha males were always assholes. They weren't the ones that were like cowering or self-canceling. Alpha males are profoundly, stubbornly unaware. And they're just that's what makes them alphas. They don't have self-consciousness about, being toxic or anything. So I lost I went anti-woke, I went broke. I lost my viewers because I went anti-woke. Well, I don't know. This maybe some contemporary downtown people watch this. I don't know. Am I relevant? I don't think I'm relevant anymore. I'm just like a crazy voice from the sidelines. And I just need to throw my whack job theories out there. Apparently, TikTok is going to be banned in like less than a week. I think Sunday. And I don't know. It's just one of the real shames of it is, first of all, 170 million people use it, which is maybe one of the reasons why they have to ban it, because I think it is just too addictive. The brain rot is real. Like, it does just take over your fucking life. Even though it's so great and it's totally worth it. But the other thing is, there are a lot of people that, like, their job is on it. They run their business. They've made themselves famous through it. All those people are going to lose everything. They're going to lose their jobs. They're going to lose their fan base. They're going to lose their accounts that they built up. They're going to lose income. That's going to be a dent in the economy. That's a huge part of the economy to some degree. The creator economy. TikTok is definitely the most thriving platform right now. It's the one that's least hamstrung by these fucktards in Silicon Valley, like Zuckerberg and Musk. So, it's almost like when they canceled public access television. It's just like, God damn, that kind of sucks. It's like this global public access where just, there's all kind of people throwing their hat in the ring. And one of the reasons why I didn't really invest that much time and energy in making content for TikTok was because it's like, you could kind of see this coming. You could kind of see the writing on the wall. And so it's like, well, do you really want to invest this time building like an entire brand and fan base and business that's dependent on this app that's incredibly precarious? And Zuckerberg hates it, right? Apparently it's competition to Instagram Reels. Apparently the guy who is the president of ByteDance he was an intern at Facebook or Meta or whatever the hell you want to call it. And he actually pitched TikTok to Zuckerberg and they passed on it. And so apparently Zuckerberg is personal. It's personal. His thing, his wanting to destroy it. So maybe they'll create some kind of copycat app in the absence of TikTok. But Yeah, I don't know. I think, one of the things that the article didn't mention, it didn't say anything about cost of living, particularly in the major cities. I mean, to me, that is as much of a contributing factor as anything. Is just like one of the cost of living, not only in the major cities, but now everywhere, where it's like, in order to be an artist, it's kind of an adage, you need cheap rent. The artists typically move to the bad neighborhoods where the rent is cheap. They can get studio space, whatever. And that's the beginning of gentrification, the gentrification cycle. But now it's expensive everywhere. And so who's got time to be a fucking artist other than rich people? And so, we've seen this kind of freezing of social mobility in our society over the last decade. Nepo babies, rich people gobbling up all the good real estate, all the good opportunities. People want to be famous, people want to be artists. So they buy their way in with clout or whatever. With the internet, it's a similar economy of views, and if you have money, you can buy viewers, you can buy SEO, you can buy promoted posts, you can buy followers, you can buy accounts, you can pay people to make your fucking content for you, like Dan Bilzerian, and just build an entire fake brand, fake celebrity with money. And in New York, I mean, you see it everywhere. There's ugly murals, ugly graffiti art, ugly poetry on the sidewalks. You see all this incredibly crappy art everywhere because these people didn't earn their way here based on their talent. They're rich people's kids. They're famous people's kids. Those are the only people that can afford to live in Soho. It's not Spalding Gray and Jonas Mekas. It's some famous person's kid, some movie star's kid. And those people might be artists in their own right, but that's also part of like the DEI thing. Is it's another instance of like kind of disabling a meritocracy or disabling or freezing that process and sort of like just giving attention to people. But it's more than that. There are bigger causes. It's corporate money. The article didn't talk about any of this shit. The article just talked about wokeness, right? To me, it's like wokeness is a mask for these economic policies that they've decided to institute across the board in our society, which is to just charge as much people as you fucking possibly can. I saw something about these real estate apps. If you use this, there's some algorithm that a lot of landlords use to show how much they should charge for their how much their property is worth. And supposedly if they do not charge the recommended amount by the algorithm, they'll get penalized. So it's like the algorithm, you may have used to, the mom and pop landlord maybe used to charge $600 or $700 or $800 for a room or whatever. Now they're using this algorithm which tells them the market value is $1,300 or $1,500, and if they don't charge that, they are going to get penalized. I mean, I think this is the reason why the cost of a fucking room has gone up everywhere to like $1,300 because it's being set artificially. I mean, to me, these, like my brother was telling me about with his job. It's like they have GPS on you at all times. So like they know where you are. They know if you're like sitting down. They know if you're taking a break. They expect you to be there at a certain time. It's like with Amazon delivery drivers. It's like they're timing every fucking thing you do. They're timing how long you're in the fucking bathroom. It's like you have to so now when you're at work doing this shit, not only do you have to get this stuff done, but it's like now you're on a timer where it's like if you're not getting your deliveries done within a deadline, you're going to get penalized for it. So it's like there's this fucking like red hot poke up your ass the whole time. And to me, that's like psychological torture. We're now being told that we can afford a certain amount of money for rent by an algorithm. We're now being told that like our job should take this long based on some kind of fucking like computer estimation or something. And it's like, it's kind of killing everybody. It's kind of pushing everybody past the point of exhaustion, unless you're already rich, and then in which case it's just making you richer, which is the point. The rest of us are like being tortured to death by like fucking lab rats because of all these weird, perverse like policies that just came out of fucking nowhere. I was just watching this thing about the invention of the clock. Apparently the clock was invented by like monks because it was meant to give them more time with God. They wanted to like, I don't know, quantify their time or something. I didn't see the exact specific why, but in fact, the opposite is what happened. They invented the clock, and that's what enabled capitalists to do what they do. They said capitalism could not exist without the invention of the clock, where suddenly they can quantify everybody's time with great specificity and put it on spreadsheets and shit, where it's like, oh, it's an hour, it's this many units, time this many. I feel like everything is just a fucking spreadsheet now. This is one reason why I don't use fucking spreadsheets. It's like, it's all just data analytics. It's all just like, well, we have this much square footage, so we should be getting this many dollars per square foot. And if we're not getting that, then like, fuck it. It's not worth doing. And it's like, everything is just boiled down to like numbers on a fucking Excel sheet now, to the point that it's like, I won't do that. I deal with people. I'm in the fucking people business. I'm face to face. There has to be an esoteric kind of touch. All that shit should be in here. You should have it. No. Okay. Kitty's trying to cancel my live stream. And it's driving everybody over the fucking edge. Like, this is inhumane. This is cruel and unusual to be like cracking the whip on these Amazon delivery drivers, where it's like, look, the robot can do it every 15 minutes. Like, at a speed of 3 miles per hour times 2,000 feet times, you should be able to execute this task in 14 minutes. Hold on just 1 second. It's like, what the fuck? They just made a terrible job of living hell. And it's like fucking Glenn Ross, man. The leads are weak. They're just creating circumstances where people are doomed to fail. And I don't know. We got these slave master overlords that suddenly run everything. They want to turn everybody into prison labor. They just want us to shut up and go back to work. You got to go into the office. No more remote. So, we're creasing toward the late 2020s, everybody. We're halfway through the decade. Isn't that nuts? 2025. The shift into fascism. The new dark ages. The new ice age hit us here in fucking New York City. I mean, Jesus Christ, all of America. California's on fire. Those Demo rats are getting what they fucking voted for. Just sarcasm alert, everybody. Well, okay. Is it cooler to be a Republican? Fuck no. I mean, I don't know. There's always been like a nihilism at rock and roll. It's atomic, rebellious. Fucking. It sucks that the Democratic Party is lame. I think the Democratic Party does need like an internal groundswell of like rebellion that like steals the party away from the hacks that run it now. I think everybody knows that. I don't think it's Bernie. Bernie is 80 fucking years old. It sucks so bad to me that JD Vance is like the first millennial to get to that stage of power. I think that says really bad stuff about millennials. Even though we elected Obama and we are better than Gen Z politically, they're all a bunch of fucking MAGA idiots because they've never faced any consequences. They weren't really alive when Bush happened. They were young. They were too young to really understand. And they don't really know what Catholicism was about. All these people are like trad cats. It's like, you don't remember what it was like in the fucking 60s or whatever, when like abortion was like actually a fucking serious thing and you couldn't be gay. It was like something you had to fucking hide. It's like, it's not just like this cute dress up thing. It's like, it's an evil, horrific organization. That completely traumatized people. You'll see. You fucking Gen Z people see. But yeah, so JD Vance is the first millennial. He's going to be the vice president. You have no idea how much I hate that. I mean, JD Vance is my arch enemy. And I haven't seen Hillbilly Elegy. I haven't read the book. I watched his speech at the fucking RNC just because it was on. He's nuts. He's full of shit. He's a tool bag. Like, all these guys are tool bags. There's nothing cool about him. He is an incredible tool bag. And he's from Ohio, so I got to hear about his fucking ass all the goddamn time. And he just climbed the fucking political ladder real quick in a way that you're like, wow, JD Vance, good for JD Vance. It's easy to do if you're sucking Peter Thiel's dick, okay? Look, anybody that's paying attention, anybody that's getting anywhere, even these fucking Red Scare hoes, all these, what is it? They're all Peter Thiel. It's all fucking Peter Thiel, Curtis Yarvin. There's no merit. Even Rogan, he's underwritten by fucking right wing. He has become like he's one of them. He's a right wing billionaire. He moved from California to Austin, Texas, just like fucking Elon. Because they hate the Democrat California policies. And so it's not that impressive that the guy climbed the ranks that fast when you're on the dark side. We're on the dark side of the force, okay? It's easy to get power. It's hard to do the right thing. Like Obama. Taking the high road like Obama. Just kidding. We all hate Obama, the imperialist Obama. It's going to be all politics until 2028, folks. You voted for this. You wanted Trump. You know what that means. I just think more things happen like on the internet and video games now. And if you want to be a loser who does that shit, apparently that's cool. I don't think it's fucking cool. But, you know, people want the most futuristic thing. Is that Twitch? This shit costs money. You know, it takes tons of power to fuel crypto, to fuel these servers. You have to have a fucking Alienware computer with a cooling fucking fan in it. It's not for poor people, okay? It's an intermediary between us and reality. And yeah, I think guys have given up. They don't really know how to. Or, you know, to be honest, video games are just fun as hell. Like, you might have a great social life, a great life. You might have a great job. You might make tons of money. And you're still probably going to play fucking video games because they're just so goddamn fun. You know, how many guys are playing video games and they got a girlfriend or something? Like, there's a lot of guys that like that fucking Anora movie. It's like the dude's playing Xbox with his stripper girlfriend. Right there. It's like that's the modern couple. Gamer boyfriend, stripper girlfriend, OnlyFans girlfriend. The two genders. Oh my God. Yeah, so I don't know. It feels like a dark cloud has moved in 25. Not to be too pessimistic about it. It's just so cold outside. It is brutally, effacingly cold. And the world is colder. You know, there's even Poet's House. I was just thinking about that today. I just don't really feel welcome there anymore. So I just go to Jefferson Market Library every day. And they close at 8 p.m. So it's Jefferson Market to Whole Foods. These winters, how are we going to get through, you know? That's when the open mics really do become that much more important because it's just like you got to get out from the cold. You know, you'll go to fucking Grizzly Pear or fucking Comedians on the Loose, or you just want to get out of your house. So in a weird way, New York kind of comes alive at this time of year. I don't know. I mean, the last few years it hasn't been this cold. It really didn't get below 40. And so that kind of made it so people could get around to the different open mics and stuff. I don't know. In New York, it's kind of paradoxical because it's almost like if it gets colder, that almost drives people out more because they don't want to get cabin fever. And New York is such an interior city, but everybody leaves in the summer. I mean, New Yorkers have their little spots. Some people go to Puerto Rico, Bermuda, Miami. A lot of people go to Miami like in March. Maybe St. Barts or Saint Tropez if you're Oprah or whatever, David Letterman. I don't know who the contemporary celebrities doing that are. But it's also like this is when we get down to business. This is when all the readings are. It's when all the openings are. The SNL 50th anniversary fucking party is in February. So it's coming up quickly. Did not make it onto the show before the 50th. Unfortunately. Still just a commentator on the show. Wannabe. Timothy Chalamet is apparently going to be the musical guest as well. We'll see how that goes. I hope he plays Bob Dylan songs. Be interesting. Why not? Bring that music to a new generation. Little Timmy freaks. Yeah, so one of the big revelations in the Lorne Michaels article was one of his mentors was William Shawn, the editor of the New Yorker. But you can say they are kind of comparable in a weird way. They're like weekly kind of humor. There's a lot of, there's deadlines, there's strict deadlines. You got this team of people. It's New York. It's Midtown. I'd read a whole book about that. That sounds interesting. What the fuck was William Shawn and Lorne Michaels' relationship like? And why did Saturday Night Live just has this allure? Like even Lorne Michaels' friends are all like, it's all like the ultra A-list people. Like he's like friends with like Paul McCartney to the point that like Paul McCartney just like comes over to his house to just like fucking hang out with like the new SNL people. It's like, Jesus Christ. He's friends with Nicholson and Paul Simon and Mike Nichols. And it's like, how does Lorne Michaels, like all of his friends are just like incredibly famous people. It's weird because SNL is sort of this cheap thing at the center of the culture. It's weird how it's maintained. It's kind of like, that was part of the point of the article is like, Saturday Night Live is kind of like cool or, it was not Carol Burnett, it was not too Broadway, too suburban. There's something about it that it maintains its kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cultural glamour or something. Now more than ever, it feels like people are like, like all these hot chicks want to date SNL guys. Fucking Kaya Gerber wants to be in the SNL movie. It's like, what the fuck? This is like a 50-year-old. It's like your grandparents. One of the funniest lines in the article is Bob Odenkirk, who's a writer, was talking about, and he was a writer like in the fucking 80s. It wasn't even that, late on in the arc of the thing. He's like, it sucks that this fucking bullshit that this guy who was a teenager in the 50s is deciding, the sensibility of this show for 50 years. It's like every generation should get their own. But that's what's weird about it. I think Lorne Michaels just opts with whatever's young. And one of the other interesting lines in the article was about how he pays attention to when the music changes. You can kind of tell when the music changes in the culture. That's kind of when Saturday Night Live changes, and it kind of goes with whatever is like the pop music of the day. You know, having shit like Selena Gomez or who is it coming up? Just every fucking whatever pop thing that comes down the pike. It's like if Saturday Night Live doesn't get whatever the fucking like one hit wonder like biggest thing in the country is that week, it's not really doing its job. I mean, it's kind of an endlessly interesting thing in a way, and I'm constantly referring to it as a weekly show maker live from, you know, it's like you just have to put the show on. It's Monday, it's 8:00. It's like the show must go on. And so that's kind of the beauty of open mic. It's a variety show, and it's like, it's live. So it's going to be what it is. Every show is different. A lot of times it's amazing. A lot of times it's incredible. Every once in a while, things can be a little wonky. It happens. That's anything you're going to do every week. You know, you want it to be great every time, but last night was January 13th. So it is what it is. There was still some really incredible and powerful things. A lot of incredible and powerful things. The audience will remember that stuff. My birthday's coming up. My birthday's on the January 27th, which is a Monday. And I don't know, birthdays can be such like egotistical things where it's like, oh, I need all these people to come out and like make me feel important. So I don't know. But it's like, I don't want to invite a bunch of people because I don't know, where I'm standing kind of reputation wise, I don't have that many friends. So I want it to be a big deal because it is a big birthday, but I also don't want to invite a bunch of people because I'm like, every time I try to invite a bunch of people to my birthday, it just it doesn't, I don't know. It just has to happen. You know, I don't know. I've had a number of great birthdays in my life. In fact, I've had mostly great birthdays. And it's going to be an open mic, so it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. I'd like for it to be huge, though. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Probably not. See, I don't want to go lean into it like it's going to be huge, but it'd be nice if it was huge. But I don't want to advertise it because then if it's not huge, it's going to seem pathetic. Let me read some of my poetry right now because I was looking through some things and I was like, I should read this. It's pretty good. I want to get it down. And it's a good way to kind of jump off to, okay. I outsold Wordsworth, which is true. Apparently, I was watching this movie about Wordsworth. He sold 0 copies of his first book. 0 copies. So I outsold Wordsworth by like a lot. Not a lot, but I didn't sell 0 copies. That's kind of crazy. Just shows what the fuck the public knows. Best slot I ever got. My comfort movie is A Safe Place. Using the marathon as a Christmas phone call to my parents. The diary's appearance on New Year's springs up here and there, sewn throughout the years, one contiguous work. The host body is being malnourished by parasites, watching Ken Russell Lake District poet biographies, Oliver Reed spinning in a boat of 6 as Dante Gabriele Rossetti, 1967 Summer of Love edibles don't do shit for me, bro. Filming at the real-life locations. I need 6 more minutes. Maybe I can watch it on my phone. Coleridge, an opium fiend. Wordsworth, a little too close to his sister. That's what the movie is about. That and his poetry. Satisfied with landscapes, psychological form loping within its effects. My jaw is sore from referred pain. I looked like blueberries, and nobody wants to talk about the president. Hair bacon strips under the hot lights, jeans busted, too much scruff. Manny in Runaway Train riding that fucker into snowblind oblivion. That's how I felt at the marathon. I should have called my poem Polyjuice. Hey, I could do that. Medium bomb. Medium bomb. I bombed at the marathon, which is its own rite of passage. Nailed to the podium because reading poetry, proving a point about that I looked like my father or Corso from that black and white, dressed like he's in White Castle. Maybe I showed my ass, and why can't I be bad? Win, lose, made no difference in my life. People always thought I lost either way. Beckoned on stage to bless the Hot Wheels. Did we pass the test to be ordained? I'm happy just to be here. Bringing Ashley in on it. We, the poets, incanting to the blue wall of people. Our verse is our strength. What would a real poet have done but cheat on our homework? And the clouds were wheeled out halfway. We read the same poem twice, nice enough to let us use the space as we sneak into VIP and beyond. An excuse to watch old movies. I get everything I need from old stories. A tired initiative of waves. Fuck it, I'll be a pain junkie. I'll just do it inside. Is this the same thing twice? Two-hander ice-capade. Now everybody's as poor as me. Sam Kinison couldn't get booked in the States. He'd walked a room. People used to tell me I looked like Christian Slater, standing at the busser station looking out the front window of Spagio with Brett, a guy who I worked with short dreads who sang U2's One at karaoke once, told me I looked like Christian Slater. Why do Catholics think it's good for the soul to deprive themselves? This is a fucking party. Life always was content, except we talked about it rather than record it with devices. I don't need these people. No one can touch it but me. This is a living newspaper. California, here I come. I know what I did, but nobody would ever believe me. How have I never seen Pump Up the Volume when it's my life? King of Marvin Gardens Jr., Tales of Ordinary Madness, the best Bukowski film, as part of our endless Gazara Fest. Still the same moonlight on the river. I can't recommend, and in fact, this might be my Roman Empire. This might be my kind of obscure opinion, but I might put Ben Gazzara's filmography up against anybody. That run, Husbands through, Killing of a Chinese Bookie. We watched Saint Jack. Killing of a Chinese bookie. I mean, come on. Where he goes walking up that driveway, it's fucking insane. Saint Jack, interesting film. They all laughed. He's in fucking Roadhouse. For Christ's sake. Ben Gazzara's in fucking Roadhouse. And you got to see this movie, Tales of Ordinary Madness. It's an Italian production from 1980. You could tell it was way before they ever canceled anybody. It's the best Bukowski movie. Ben Gazzara as Charles Sirking. They couldn't get the rights to Bukowski's alter ego. Ben Gazzara, Charles Sirking, style. Anything with danger done to styles, poetry to me. It's really you got to see this movie. It's on the internet. Tales of Ordinary Madness. To me, it's the best Bukowski movie, but because it's Gazzara. I mean, Gazzara really one for the ages. Like I said, he might be. I put his filmography up with anybody. I mean, watch Chinese Bookie if you haven't seen Chinese Bookie. 1/2/25 Wind Tunnel. Sparrows speaking fluent French to Marie Christine. This is not the poet's chair they were removed from city lights. I'm a man, can't just be a human pet for women. Less days of grass when everything went. I feel a million years better. Keep your hands and feet inside the words as we ride them around the curves of the line breaks. We're still wearing their clothes, a quintessential LA noir, setting the palette for bravura sleaze of decades to come. A cat helps Karate Dog at the end. 1/3/25. You can't just watch TV your whole life. You have to be a part of it too. I didn't deliver the lines in the wind. The microphone scratchy blew me around. Baby Genius versus Karate Dog in the crow's nest. It's not an infection, it's a canker. Of course she turns it back on me. These minutes are a window into my hand. Cost me my face and a leg. My own private island of Dr. Moreau. Win, lose, what's the difference? Can't afford to bomb Jane first. Kicking myself over the Marco delivery. How I missed another obvious message from the gods. I think it goes without saying. I think it's self-explanatory. Yeah, so I don't know. My clothes are falling apart. The world is falling apart. I think by March or April, we will be in another pandemic. We will be in another lockdown by March or April. That's my prediction. Oh, God. I don't know. These live streams. Let me reignite my creativity with the old brain vitamin. If you're watching along at home, I'm hemorrhaging viewers. Oh my God, Proctor's got nothing to say. He's losing it. We were skeptical, but now we know he sucks. I don't know. I'm streaming my ass off here, like Ben Gazzara. Puzzles. I'm telling you, these impressions would have killed in 2008. My Boy Meets World bit would have absolutely got me on Saturday Night Live in 2008. No, I don't think I could have hung with those people, to be honest. When you look at Sudeikis and Jason Statham and who's the guy, Fred Armisen, who's the guy, Bill Hader, I mean, Will Forte, it's like you're not going to be able to, you can't hang with those guys. It's not going to happen. We're just genetically inferior, you know? That's why we're losers in show business. Screaming our heads off on Monday nights. Bang on the fucking piano like a toddler. I mean, I would. I love free jazz. I'm talking about myself here, by the way. I'm talking about myself here. No, but no one else. Um, I'm trying to find another way with the piano. So last night I got into some kind of quiet places, which was important for me, but I think I lost the audience. I don't know. I think the audience is just looking at me like, so half of them are so pissed that they're waiting for their turn that they just hate me for that. It's not like because of anything I'm doing. It's just like I'm the host and they know that I'm like burying them. So they're not really fans. They're, of course, they're not going to be like, oh, yeah, Matt Proctor, we love this guy. They're like, fuck this asshole for like putting me halfway down on the list. I want to go home. It's 17 degrees and the train is going to take me till 5 a.m. to get back to rural Jersey or Long fucking Island. I think I culturally identify as a Long Islander now. I feel more Long Islander than New Yorker, sort of in my vacation home. Jay kidding, everybody. I don't mean to sound like an asshole on my stream. Yeah, so we rewatched Glengarry. Maybe I shouldn't rewatch Glengarry. The biggest news of the day was that J.D. Salinger watched Saturday Night Live, and apparently he wrote about it in his letters. J.D. Salinger apparently had ideas about how what went wrong with Saturday Night Live and how they could fix it. I wonder what J.D. Salinger's favorite cast was. Was J.D. Salinger like one of these guys that like started watching in 1975 and like grew with the show and like loved it and loved the original cast, and then when Chevy left, he felt betrayed? Because the thing about Saturday Night Live is it is in a certain way like the last meritocracy, or it's like that's what you feel. It feels like it's the place in show business where like literally it was the original American Idol, or one of, it's a reality show as much as anything, where it's like you are making these people stars. Fucking Church Lady happens or whatever, Marcello, Domingo, and then next thing you know, these people are getting laid and getting paid and getting movie deals and becoming famous and becoming household names just by earning it. The Saturday Night Live cast does feel like some kind of like weird, like dinner theater detective thing, or like some kind of corporate. It feels like a corporate like team building. Like, hey, we're going to, like, the CEO could be the host. It's like, hey, we're going to do a bunch of skits with your CEO and we're going to make him funny. And like they do with Trump and Elon. Kissing ass. Steinbrenner was a host. I like the Steinbrenner episode. I bet, I don't know, J.D. Salinger, he was probably a Gilda Radner fan. He probably like Danny. I don't know. Was he in Eddie Murphy area? Or, was he, did he like the Dana Carvey years, the John Lovitz years? I can't imagine he would like Lovitz that much. Trying to get inside the head of J.D. Salinger and speculate. Did he like the Will Ferrell era? Did he like the Spartan cheerleaders or sweaty balls? I bet he liked Molly Shannon, kind of. He probably stopped watching. He probably stopped watching like the Chris Elliott year. He lived, I think, until like almost until Pete Davidson got on the show. Like Keenan was definitely on the show when J.D. Salinger was alive. Keenan, it didn't used to be that way. It used to be like Kevin Nealon was on the show for 8 years, and you're like, this guy's kind of a loser. He keeps waiting for it to happen, and it's like, it's not going to happen, buddy. You got to leave now. You got to move out. You got to give somebody else the space. Staying too long at the party. We're just supposed to have a feel for these things. We're supposed to have a feel for timing and knowing when things are right and, when to let go, when to move on, when things are over, when things are beginning. It's hard to tell. Some things you're just stuck with. Oh, I had this great line about, fuck. Let me find this line about 9/11. I think I wrote it at Waverly Inn. Let me try to find my Waverly Inn piece. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. My legs were too tired to do anything but begin another year in defeat. Smashing my foot on the Marshall Bluetooth. I did midnight yesterday. There's nobody in the salon. And now my life resumes ending for the year ahead. In the Rainforest Cafe, it's really coming down. Lightning flashes in the atrium. There's 1 million people in Times Square. We are living in the camera flash. 2025 is a good year. If only she'd made herself small in the tea stall, gender natural bathroom. Is New York the Titanic? You may be scarred from cheesecake. They put us in the barn with the scofflaws. No mural Eden. God is pissed because we reelected Trump. Well, not we. You assholes. People who think it's cool to be a Republican. Lamest revolution era ever. Feel like I'm riding the Titanic into the World Trade Center on September 11th, 1912. Eating botanical chicken pot pie. All of Europe and France came to California. That was when Salo went Apollo to our favorite party balloon. I don't even know what I did last year. I'll hold my drink and we'll look at the band. One elephant always wants to stand. I've got a fuck with gift idea for Keith Jarrett. Radio helpless clock scented lemon mash. Already reformulating in plans. Champagne toast at midnight. We dream our way into the mural. Metro Girl of Paris. I filled up my highlight when I arrived from Carolinas, coming from JFK. Gore Vidal Whirlpool. Donald Barthelme. Hiding in the treehouse. Way too nudge. The greenhouse special effects had 4 drinks. You pay credit card to absolve phone bizarro roast beast getting the deed. I had the chicken pot pie. We bright steined the Adderall gayettes with our froth. I'd say we put our money's worth in content in memories. Broke a water glass ripping the butcher paper to initiate the new year for a face I'd drawn of Ashley. This is my adult Max and Irma's. I'm ready to go home. Regret it lightly. The year is broke open and it's rushing forward. Let it fly. Be specific. Mental content. My life in the Yiddish theater. I've got the whole day to figure it out. Got a lot of great footage. Remind me to bookmark Shitfire. Yeah, that line about feel like I'm riding the Titanic into the World Trade Center on September 11th, 1912. That's how I felt on New Year's Eve. I felt like I was riding the Titanic into 9/11. I did 9/11 with the Titanic. Can I say that on YouTube? Every time I read poetry, my YouTube gets banned. Coincidence? Or am I just blowing people's minds? Maybe fucking Dean Issick should write a fucking article about me. How about my art doesn't suck? I've been kicking ass for a decade, bitch. No, you're not writing articles about me. You're listening to the woke mob. Write about my endless internal monologue diaries, unedited stream of consciousness, white male stream of consciousness shit. Doesn't everybody thirst for my white male stream of consciousness poetry? I mean, Jesus Christ. This stuff is flying off the shelves, okay? Everyone is begging to publish my lyrical fucking ballads. People beg, they beg me, please come read your poetry at our poetry readings. Please. Please let us publish your poem in our magazine, our shit magazine. Please come. You're such a mega poet, god all-star. Please come to my shit open mic. Just kidding. These are jokes, people. I love all the open mics. I love it all, baby. God bless you all for your fucking poetry. Let's keep it going through the Trump nightmare, okay? That's my gauntlet to you. The poetry is like a bikini atoll, which will skiff us into Waterworld. We are the smokers, okay, in Waterworld, okay? We got jet skis of poetry and big rusty atolls of poetry that are going to protect us from Trump sanity. From Trumpomania, brother. I'm riding the Titanic into 9/11, bitch. I'm fucking John Voight on the runaway train, okay? Win, lose, it don't make no difference to me. We're on a mission from God. Ain't no stopping us now, okay? We got too much momentum. That's what they don't understand. We're rolling hard and loud. We're rolling loud here, okay? We are trucking our dicks off. You will get buried alive if you try to stop us. If you stand in our fucking way, do not stand on the tracks when the train's coming through, okay? As Jack Parkman once said. As the wise man Jack Parkman once said, do not stand on the tracks when the train's coming through, little man. And this train is fucking rolling, bitch. This midnight train is fucking rolling hard and deep. It's deep and it's wide. This poetry train is bound for fucking glory, bitch. When they're writing the history of America, they're going to be talking about us. Not these fucking asshat billionaires. They're going to be talking about the yeoman poets of Little Gotham in the new century, inventing the new century. So yeah, this is my new obsession: is how do we write the future? How do we be the future? How do we see the future? How do we make your future, Danny? That's what visionaries do. This is what visionaries do, okay? That's what vision is. You see where others are blind. And so what do we see for 25 and beyond, everybody? What do we see for 2030 or 2040? Future smart cities. I mean, I'm down with physical media. I like the publishing. I think paper is important. So in a certain way, I don't necessarily think that much will change. I mean, this is why I live stream, because I'm in the future, baby. This is the most futuristic thing I know how to do. But it's also like the oldest thing. It's pump up the volume, and it's Gene Shepard, and this is what I've been doing since I was a kid when I had a fucking Talk Boy. How many people had a Talk Boy? Do you know what that is? It was a consumer Toys R Us grade tape recorder. Sort of like a Warhol. You know, Macaulay Culkin and Gabby Hoffman, they're all like Warhol kids. They all like lived in the Chelsea Hotel and shit. They were, you know, they were always these like maximized little artists. That's why they got cast. That's why Macaulay Culkin is like in Uncle Buck and fucking, I think he's in Only the Lonely. I think he makes a cameo. And now the other Culkin, is it Kieran? Who's the one on Succession? Now he's like super fucking famous. Even though the real Culkin heads, we've fucking known since the early 90s about these kids. They always were on a fucking different wavelength in some weird way. They were always on the Adam Green, Velvet Underground pizza fucking themed hipster wavelength. Third generation Warhol, wannabe superstar shit, basically. Normal people pretending they're celebrities with like household items. That's all it is. That's all. It's like drag. It's just drag, except now everybody does it. And that's good. That's fine. That's beautiful. That's theater. That's performance, right? Is Lorne Michaels the modern Shakespeare? There's clips of fucking both of them on Saturday Night Live as little kids, right? Macaulay Culkin hosted Saturday Night Live when he was like 8. How fucking crazy is that? He was representation for millennials. Macaulay Culkin landed early. He was in Michael Jackson videos. Michael Jackson protected him from the evils of show business, of child stardom. He seems like he's turned out pretty well. He's in Adam Green movies and shit. He dated Mila Kunis, for fuck's sake. Who knows what the fuck that's about? How do you go from that to Ashton Kutcher? I don't know. Like, if you're in Home Alone, I mean, you're a baller. I mean, what could be better than that? I mean, that's pretty much like the most clout you could possibly have as a fucking millennial. It's like you were in goddamn Home Alone. You were Macaulay Culkin. He was the original. Do kids today even have a fucking comparable? Like, who are the fucking child? Do they even do that anymore? It's all like fucking CGI Madagascar movies and Boss Baby and shit. Bring back Karate Dog. My Life in the Yiddish Theater on the Lower East Side on 2nd Avenue. That's really what we're doing at KGB Bar. It's the Yiddish Theater. It's the Yiddish Rialto, everybody. Bring your drag costume. Bring your grease paint and your face paint. I mean, within the boundaries of good taste. It used to just be bad taste. That's something like Sam Kinison, when he's on stage, he's like, hey, or we started to watch Dice Man's movie, Ford Fairlane. It's actually pretty good. It looks like fucking True Romance. It's crazy. It reminded me of Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man, that movie with Mickey Rourke and Don Johnson. It was kind of similar, early 90s action comedy. Those were big. So it's the year of the alpha male, everybody. Look for more action comedies. Maybe movies will get funny again. Maybe people will learn to take a joke again. I don't know. Are things going to retrograde in the late 2020s? Is that what's going to happen? People want white mediocrity again. A train service will be replaced by 3 shuttle buses facing the wrong way. Might be time to remove it. To party like a river. The roses dragged the soap. Ashley stole community college in the rain right out from under me. The bomb at the marathon felt like Peter Glissman up there. The gummies do nothing. My eyes, the gummies do nothing. Doing both marathons, a la Phil Collins at Live Aid, London and Philadelphia, West Beth and St. Mark's. Billy Lamont, our Crosstown Concord. Shout out to Billy Lamont, the Crosstown Concord. God damn. I mean, that's poetry magic, everybody. That is fucking poetry magic. Poets need to create the world. Poets are the unacknowledged legislators now more than ever, okay? We're more unacknowledged than ever. And we're legislating our dicks off. I mean, I am constantly legislating unacknowledgedly from here, from my Oval Office. Or I guess this is, I don't know. It's kind of a weird shaped room. Maybe that's why I don't sleep well. I'm trying to figure out why the energy in this room is not conducive to sleeping. There's something about it that's like it's not easy to sleep here. It is the first floor and it's facing like the sun when the sun comes up. But I'm constantly legislating unacknowledgedly, and we're constantly drafting executive orders. Or I guess we're legislators. Does that mean we're like in the House, or are poets in the House of Representatives? Or are they in the Senate? Some poets are in the Senate, some poets are in the House. I'm probably in the House. Maybe someday I'll be a senator. Senator Corleone. Never cared for The Godfather. Oh my God. Only how many more days? 5 more days of TikTok? Jesus Christ. Only 4 more days of TikTok, baby. I will be on TikTok until further notice. I'm just going to be in a TikTok heroin coma for the next 4 days. They can't do this to us. They can't take this away from us. Our fucking free speech sucks, man. But to me, YouTube is long form TikTok. My live streams are long form TikToks. I could never, I mean, I didn't spend enough time really working to like. The thing is, I could do a TikTok video every time I have an idea for this. I could just do a TikTok video about it, but I just never really threw that much time into TikTok making content. I was always more. The YouTube seems like it's got longevity. I'm hoping that my YouTube will last literally forever. I'm banking on it. I know that's incredibly naive and probably misguided, but I really think of all of the mediums, I think YouTube could be the prosthetic memory of the human race. And so it seems as likely as anything, to be like sort of the time capsule of all this, essential content. And so all my stuff is kind of geared to being like, I don't know, defining and articulating and just kind of like summarizing our era as it occurs and as it goes through changes. When the changes happen, the hinges of the changes, the knuckles of the changes, it feels like we're in a hinge. You can feel where in retrospect, it's like 2016. I guess it's every presidential election year, kind of. But what was 2015 the last good year? I think we were, and maybe it's because I'm a libtard, but like it feels like with Biden we had a reprieve. It felt like we were on death row, and then we were returned. We had money in the pocket. Like suddenly we had this flowering of this poetry scene in New York, the open mic scene, outdoor readings. It was really exciting to see New York in this kind of very outdoor market, kind of open air head shop for a couple years in 21, 22. It coincided with the legalization of weed, and everybody had tons. I'm sure that was a way to kind of like narcoticize everybody out of the trauma of the pandemic. Get everybody high, give them 20 grand and cheap apartments in Manhattan. We had a pretty good fucking time. And now we're re-entering Slave Planet. The trauma S&M dungeon. Some guy pissing in your face, cocksucker. One of the all-time great lines of poetry written by David Mamet. We pitch those cocksuckers Baywater. I mean, Glengarry Glen Ross, now I get why it's a jazz score. And they've got George Benson at the end. The play is totally jazz. It's totally like, and those actors are completely tonally playing jazz with each other. It's such an ensemble piece. And it's all these different kind of tonalities and registers. He didn't mean it. I'm sure he didn't mean it. Mr. Speece, Mr. Robert Speece, Mr. Palermo, Mr. Rudy Palermo. 8 units Mountain View. I had him on the hook. She wanted to talk with a lawyer. You let her talk with a lawyer? Yeah, I mean, it's but I hope we're not going back into that era. I hope we're not going back into like medieval Bush crusade 2000s. We need to go, people voted for Trump like in a weirdly optimistic way or something. Like they thought he's going to like really fucking reshape our lives to like get people making money, and this is, things are going to take off now. Let's entrepreneurialize space. And now, all these billionaires are getting behind Bezos, Zuckerberg. They're all getting behind it. They're all psyched about it because they know they're going to make money. They're going to, their taxes are going to get slashed. The regulations are going to get slashed. That's kind of the agreement. Hopefully that means good things for the rest of us. I've got no reason to think that. You think that? Be that thing. So be it. We live in an absolute morality. I won't live in it. Well, in any case, it seems like we're fucked. It seems like there's dark shadows looming on the horizon. A shitstorm. I mean, we've already had these crazy fires. I know we can't blame that on Trump. But just like stylistically, it feels very ominous and it feels related. It feels like a bad omen. A bad way to start the year. I mean, I get it. It's a bunch of celebrities. Like, not that nobody died, really. I mean, a few people died. Like, it's horrible. But it's not like 9/11 or something in that sense. It's not like thousands of people died or anything. But it's still just like, I don't know. It's a dark thing. Maybe I'm just a libtard and that's what I'm reading into it. But you tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to give a fuck about Trump or what he does. I'm not going to get too bothered by it. But it's like, we're already seeing the asinine, just annoying shit he's going to do. And he's already being aggressive, frankly. All this shit about Greenland and Canada. Yeah, it's real fucking funny if you're like a sicko. If you're a real sick fuck like you're Joe Pesci and Goodfellas or something, I'm sure it's real fucking funny. But to the rest of us, it's like, Jesus Christ. Maybe this... it's imperialism. Who knows? These fuckers might want to take over the whole world. Elon Musk seems like that type of person. He seems like he fancies himself a planetary... It's not enough to take over goddamn planet Earth. He's got to start this other planet where he's going to be God Emperor too. He's got to have 2 fucking planets. And he's just a retard that they're like, it's the Emperor's new clothes. It's like they gave him fake toys and he thinks he's playing with like real stuff. And he's like actually building this stuff. It's like, you're not actually doing anything. It's not even plugged in. The guitar's not even plugged into the amp. They're just letting you pretend so you feel smart. How's this going to affect poetry, everybody? What's going to happen with poetry? I mean, I've never been a cool, there's a cool crowd of poets in Brooklyn. I don't know how you get into that group. you probably don't do things like this, which are super cringe. You don't read a poem called Blueberries for President. Super cringe. I do like I don't know. It is what it is. I should have called it Polyjuice. I blew it. If I knew what I was doing, if I was more in touch with the audience. I'm out of touch. It's because I'm not on the street. I'm just watching Karate Dog and Runaway Train. I mean, I did see the Bob Dylan movie. I saw fucking Megalopolis. I watched part of Y2K. I saw the Domingo skit. Nobody else even knows what the fuck I'm talking about. We're trying to stay with it, okay? We're trying to stay culturally, at the open mic, I do try to put on as good a show as anybody's doing anywhere in New York, and that includes fucking Saturday Night Live. I stand by my Elvis Costello does the Muppet Babies impression, okay? I do that in my audition. Lauren, call me. We're waiting. If Hollywood doesn't call, we'll be sick. We're like the Warhol Super. We're just waiting down here for your call. Have you made your decision, for Christ? They're waiting out there to give you their money. Are you man enough to take it? I don't think there's any women in the entire movie. Maybe in that Chinese restaurant, I think there's some women like in the background. I literally don't think there's any women in Glengarry Glen Ross at all. They've done like female versions. I've heard like an acting, that's like an acting exercise they'll do. They'll have women play the parts. It's very gendered. It's about guys, desperate styles of masculinity. It's almost like a freeze of different male attitudes to being humiliated, and to frankly they're put in, they're going to get fired no matter what. Actually, they're almost all like, they have no chance at winning. They're all gonna lose, basically. And so it's like beyond a desperate, it's not even like a circumstance. It's fucked up that they're even having to go on trying to sell these bullshit leads. Patel, some of it hasn't aged that well. There's some racist jokes in the movie. But I'm sure there probably some truth to it, maybe. At least, I'd like to know what Mamet's experience actually in the real estate office was. Like, did he know people like that? How did he create such vivid characters with so few lines? That's the thing that blows me away about Glengarry Glen Ross. It's like, there's so many ellipses. There's so much of that dialogue is like phantom dialogue. And yet those characters are like so completely there. And they're so fully formed examples of just like how people react to that kind of psychological stress. The Aronow character, he's like a Alan Arkin, he's an honest person. You can tell he's kind of like a coward or something. Maybe he lost his nerve, or he's not going to rip people off. So he's not a good salesman. It's like, that doesn't make him a bad person. In fact, it's probably a good quality for a human being to have. He's a good man, clearly. And yet Ed Harris tries to bring him out and to rip the place off. Ed Harris is clearly a weasel. And he's bitter about every goddamn thing. And he complains about everything. And he's just conniving, and he's a liar. He's kind of the villain, I would say, maybe in a way. To Jerry Graff, my end is my concern. Your end's 2,500. Mine is my concern. Wow. Yeah. So, I don't know. Mamet's other plays, they don't have that many characters that are that just like they're just so, and they're all kind of important. It's not like any one of them is really that much smaller than any of the other parts. They're all kind of equally portioned out. Even Williamson, who just has to eat shit the whole play. That's kind of hilarious too. I'm just so mystified by Ricky Roma because that part has this special. Everybody knows Ricky Roma is like kind of this special guy, and yet the way that he slings his bullshit is just so subterfuge. He doesn't say anything that adds up to anything. It's all talking shit. And yet, he's got the best weave. He's the best salesman. He's so smooth that every fucking thing he says sounds like some kind of koan or something. It's mysterious. All train cars smell vaguely of shit. That's the worst thing I can confess. Cafe au lait. The great fucks of your life. And it's just like nothing he says. And then he brings out the real estate at the end of the scene. It's like he said everything except anything about land in Florida. Listen to what I'm about to tell you now. But he's kind of detached from the whole thing, and he's kind of above the whole thing. Where it's like he's ripping people off more than anybody. I don't know. The presumption. One of the funniest things about the play and the movie to me is the names of these fucking real estate. Baywater, Mountain View, River Oak. They're so generic. Rio Rancho Properties. Those names are so fucking hysterically funny to me, and I don't know why. Like, that to me is like the highest. That's the highest comedy. I don't know why. Baywater. We pitch those cocksuckers Baywater. To me, that's one of the greatest lines ever written. It's like there's so much in that line. And I guess it's an era. To me, there's still, this is shit Tim Dillon talks about. All his shit where it's like fake business, doing fake business, or he worked for some kind of hedge fund or venture capitalist thing on Long Island. It's like these people are still out there. The Jordan Belforts of the world. It's like they're spiritual kin to Mitch and Murray. I'm going to Limpkin. Whatever the fuck that means. I'm going to Limpkin. Who the fuck is Limpkin? Uh-oh, he's going to Limpkin. Kenilworth. Rick? Something I've been realizing about movies recently. We pitched those cocksuckers Baywater. Casting Jack Lemmon in that movie, seeing him walk into that office, seeing him go on those sits in the phone booth, it's like you're bringing all that movie history. You're bringing The Apartment into it. You're bringing Billy Wilder, those scenes in that office with all the fucking desks and shit. And that's something directors, I feel like, do a lot when they're casting. It's like they're kind of playing on something the actor is known for. Everybody knows Jack Lemmon is this kind of sad sack. You really feel that he's been working in this office his whole fucking life because you've seen it from the fucking 60s, apartment, young Jack Lemmon in a fucking office in New York. And now here he is in goddamn Glenn Ross, bookending that same kind of slouch. It brings in all of that history and all of those years and those parts and all those scenes, those kind of memories. And I feel like actors, that's what typecast is like, if you create a character that's memorable, people want to see it again. Or A lot of times directors are casting you because of something they saw you do in another movie, and they want you to do that. Oh, I saw you do this in fucking The Apartment, so we wanted that. That's what we wanted. So why aren't you doing that? The Machine. The Machine. And I think it's cool that now Pacino has played the Machine. The young Ricky Roma turns in eventually to the old Machine, the old broken down Machine. My daughter. Yeah, the screenplay is better than the play. It's just it really is. It's one of the ultimate movies about capitalism. There's a lot of people that try to imitate it. There's always like these big Wall Street kind of speeches and shit in movies, like Ben Affleck and fucking Changing Lanes, or there's some movie that Ben Affleck's in where he does like a always be closing style brass balls, you're fired, fuck you kind of speech. And it's just like you just cannot hold a candle to that speech. I'm sorry. You can't even come close. It's just because it's poetry. I hate to say it, but are you interested? I know you are because it's fuck or walk. D, have you made your decision for Christ in action? Always be closing. Yeah, so I'd just like to know what his real experience in the real estate office. So much of that had to be just shit that actually happened. Those had to be real people. Wow, Rio Rancho Properties. That was probably like in the 60s or 70s in Chicago. Apparently, Mammoth lived in the Gramercy Park Hotel. I saw this on our Reddit, so it must be true. In the 70s, on some kind of Mammoth forum or some shit. I don't know. This is the beauty of Reddit. Well, I'm not on Twitter anymore, so Reddit is kind of like taken that place in my life, where it's like I kind of need like a text news thing that's like made by people. And I first of all, I can't remember my Twitter password, which I think is like a blessing in disguise because I definitely would have gotten back on Twitter by now. And it's crazy the shit that they show you on Twitter now. It is like they're just putting right wing shit right into your feed. Like Elon Musk, even if you don't follow him, it's like you're gonna see his tweets. He's putting it in your fucking feed. It's like, what? Who asked for this? And they're putting all this, like they'll put JD Vance in your feed. It's like, I didn't ask to see this. Please do not show me this. So it's probably just as well I can't get back on Twitter, but there's a lot of literary, activity, to be honest, for better or for worse, probably for worse. But, there's a lot of poetry on Twitter. Well, wait a minute. Let me correct myself. There's a lot of poets on Twitter. They're tweeting about their events. And there's a lot of literary kind of water cooler conversation. In fact, it all happens on Twitter, quite frankly. A lot of the things that I talk about on here, or like the Dean Kissick article, shit like that. It's like, yeah, you're going to see a lot of people on Twitter they were probably talking about it on Twitter 2 months ago. And I'm just now seeing it because it popped up in, real life, this guy talking about it. So in a certain way, you almost have to be on fucking Twitter. Or, if you're a writer, Jesus Christ. It's like, for me, it was like, my Twitter account was probably the most valuable thing I had as a writer. I had people following me that saw every stupid fucking thing I twatted. that were big literary heroes of mine. And so that's all gone. That's all burnt to the fucking ground. Thanks, Elon, asshole. You're just another thing thwarting my chance at literary success. Whatever. I just have to write my extreme scrawls and publish them as is. Somebody's got to be fucking radical. Dean Kissick, you asshole. You didn't mention me in your fucking article. You didn't mention my live streams, which are probably one of the most daring, groundbreaking, insightful things going on in the art world, I would say. Everything that I would say on Twitter, now I say it on this. The thing is, there was just a part of my brain that was like, certain thoughts, I just immediately thought that would be a great tweet. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want that little part of my brain, like, that was a constant, like, open Twitter bubble. I couldn't have Elon Musk doing that. Even though, I mean, is this asshole's influence just going to grow? We're going to have a Neuralink chip. Is that what we have to look forward to in 2030? AI being the big fucking thing everybody's shitting themselves about. Just a Ponzi scheme. I don't look forward to the data centers, the crypto, the suck on our energy grid. Congestion pricing sucks. Like when they invented the clock, now they can charge everybody for their time. Where it's like, now look at, you got a phone. You got to, it's like there's so many more ways that we're regulated and managed. There's so many things that are products now that were not products. There's so many things that are financialized that were not financialized. And we are all suffering because that is a pound of flesh. It's not just money. That is physical pain, labor. And that's why we get angry about it sometimes. Like I said, I didn't mean to get all cranky in my last broadcast. I was just physically feeling like shit and sober. I hadn't smoked weed like the entire week. So when I got sick, it kind of like also acted as just like a cleanse. I literally didn't smoke weed for basically an entire week. So I was fried and I was pissy. Maybe I'll read some from my orange. I don't know. It's getting late. What time is it? 1:48. Maybe I'll go to 2 a.m. Thank you guys for watching. Polyjuice. Okay, people are signing off now that I'm threatened to read poetry. Whatever. Oh, we're not in it for the likes or the views. We're in it because we can't figure out anything else to do. We can't figure out a better way. Until I figure out a better way. Honestly, this fulfills all of my emotional needs, my psychological needs. Jokes. These are jokes. Okay? Nobody thinks this is funny. They just think I'm an asshole on the internet. What else are we outraged about? I need to like correct and bitch about that I saw on the internet. I have, because I was sick and because it's cold, I think we're all inside just like doom scrolling. And, TikTok can be quite a profound, vivid doom scroll. And an endless, particularly with these fires, it's like, I took it kind of personally in a way that I don't know. Does it really have anything to do with me? Is it global warming? This is the thing is like we're learning more about it. It's like, why the fuck did it happen? It happened because they don't clear this brush. Why don't they clear the brush? You know, are they managing it as well as they could? You know, not to blame them or anything, but it's more just about, are we doing the best that we can? Like, are these preventable? Because if they are, it's really dumb that this happened. And it's unbelievable. All these people, all these amazing, that's one of my favorite things to do in LA is drive out those canyons and PCH through Malibu. All those fucking houses burnt down. It's crazy. It's a sad thing to me. I guess it's dumb to be sentimental about some place that's just full of millionaires. Charlie Harper, Two and a Half Men, the house the Jingles built. Nobody laughed at that when I mentioned that yesterday. I don't know. I guess it's a kind of a lame reference. Whatever. I'm a middle-aged man. What can I say? I should write a book about how my ancestors are hillbillies. Maybe I'd be the vice president. Like, my family's probably way more hillbilly than JD Vance's. That guy ain't shit. I don't know. Just exploit your hillbilly relatives for political clout in the Republican Party. Go to Yale Law School. What a fucking tool bag. Well, I mean, this is the thing, and I was reading a Reddit forum about this. It said, the question was, do you regret your student loans? And, the hell of it was, none of them said yes. They all said they took on shitloads of student loans, but if it wasn't for those student loans, they wouldn't have the job that they did. They wouldn't be able to make the amount of money that they did. And to be honest, that's kind of how I feel. Like, I had an opportunity to get an MFA in 2017. They cut the funding to the program at the last minute, but I could have done it anyway. It just probably would have cost me, they probably would have waived some of it, but it probably would have cost me, I don't know, somewhere in the low 5 figures or something. And to be honest, I should have just fucking paid for it, because I would have a job now where I'd probably be making at least that much a year, and I would be professionally viable in a way that unfortunately you're just not. So it really is fucked up the way they handcuff a generation with these fucking student loans, because the loan payments can be fucking crazy. I mean, that's why I avoided it. Some people's loan payments are like $2,500 a month. It's like, Jesus Christ, how are you going to have any kind of life if you have to pay that? And so you're just fucked from the word go. But you can get a fucking job that you couldn't get the other, you can be an engineer or professor, whatever. So it's unfortunate. It does cost a lot of money, but it's also something that just like, it's a requirement actually at this point. If there's certain things you want to be involved in, it's like, forget about it. You're just buying your way in. It's just part of the program. We watched this Luke Wilson movie, Tenure. I think it was made. It's David Koechner is like it's sort of like once again, it's like they cast him because of old school, and maybe kind of because of the Wes Anderson kind of connotations. But it's sort of an old, it's sort of like playing on Luke Wilson being a little bit of a frat bro, but also kind of like uh distinguished or something. The frat pack. And I don't know, those are kind of my comfort movies. Like Luke Wilson, there's another movie he was in called Kill the Man, which I bought on a VHS tape from, like, uh, a video store next to Jersey Mike's for, like, nothing, and it was Joshua Molina, the guy from The West Wing, and Luke Wilson, and it was like a fucking, 90s indie comedy about they had a copy shop or something. And it was not a good movie. It was incredibly, like, mid, but that's kinda what I liked about it. Then that's how that Tenure movie felt. It's like, okay, this is not, like, the greatest fucking movie I've ever seen. It's kind of just, like, kind of a dumb movie about campus culture and trying to be a professor. But it's like it's portraying that life. He's an English professor. He's a white guy, so it's before kind of wokeness, right? It's not that woke. It's sorta like, Adult World, that movie with John Cusack and Emma Roberts. It's about that level of I don't know, somehow these indie movies are all the same. The soundtracks kinda feel the same, the direction kinda feels the same, and they're just like comfort movies, like, they're kind of funny, they're kind of amusing, they're about something that's like, oh, it's about an English program, so it's like, the campus looks super academic and shit. It looks like the Oval at OSU or some kinda, like, fucking English, stone what is that, Victorian era, sort of like mock Tudor. The buildings are unbelievable on some of these old campuses, big turrets and shit. Yeah, it's like really amazing architecture. Not like now. Now it's just a bunch of like glass, ugly, some kind of postmodern rectangle. It's some kind of shape. Oh, they can do weird shapes with the glass, but it's basically just a big fucking cube. Like all the new school buildings kind of look like that. Um, we're here in the late night hour, everybody. You're watching Scenes from a Life live on goddamn YouTube. They're burying me. I'm shadow banned, of course, but we're live as a motherfucker here, baby. We are live as a motherfucker. Here at almost 2 a.m. I'm going to get off at 2 a.m., I think, because I have to eat my Danish. and watch TikTok until 5 a.m., of course. I have to learn. I have to do my hyper learning before they take it away. Now they're talking about there might be an extension. I'm not hopeful about it. I think they're going to make Biden own it. I think they'll ban it while Biden is in office and make him own it. I don't think Trump will let it sort of seem like it's something he has anything to do with. He'll sort of pretend like he's trying to bring it back. Yeah, so yeah, Tenure, the Luke Wilson film. It's just like, I don't know. I guess it's racist. There's no land acknowledgments in it or anything. It's just a bunch of white people trying to get tenure. Complaining about it, they don't have tenure. It's like, what the fuck world do these people live in, man? Now everybody's obsessed with it. It's like the ultimate, because everybody's an adjunct. Well, the reality that the movie portrays, I don't know. Maybe some people are still living this life, but it's kind of like, he's an adjunct, but like he's got a big old house, Victoria, he lives alone. It's like Ohio State. It's like there's all these big old Victorian houses and shit, but it's like, I don't know who can afford that anymore. I don't think that's like your typical grad student. Maybe it is. Hopefully, somebody's got to live that kind of cliche grad student. If I had any fucking brains, that's what I would go do. I'd find some fully funded goddamn program somewhere and just check, please. Here's my zines. I was the fucking open mic host at KGB, blah, blah, blah. Here's my resume. Just give me somewhere in the low 5 figures. I'll be rich. I'll be a rich man. Let me teach all the English MFA people, they teach like the 100 writing level class to like teach college essay writing, which I guess is, I don't know. I guess you're teaching writing, but can I teach a live streaming class or like Here's how you smoke weed and like do stream of consciousness, everybody. It's my stream of consciousness class, everybody. Get high. Then you just like journal. We're going to read our journals. No thinking. First thought, best thought, everybody. First thought, best thought. Just like Ginsberg, man. That's the way to write great poetry. Every meathead with their first thought, best thought. I don't know, man. Just write your fucking heart out. Just make it interesting. I don't know. I think people do write good poetry. Most of the poetry that I hear at open mics is actually pretty good. It's the people with like tenure that suck. That's why they got tenure, because they're generic as hell. Because they're just a bunch of states fucking witness, man. They just went states, man. They're in the witness protection program of poetry. Not me, man. I'm in the fucking mafia. Okay? I'm not in the fucking witness protection program, okay? I'm not getting paid off by J. Edgar Hoover or Comey or anybody, okay? I'm in the fucking mafia. I run Lucky Luciano's gambling parlor and Emma Golden's socialist newspaper. This is the Raven Social Club, okay? The Ravenite Social Club. We have a social club. We do a meeting once a week. You know, we all get up. We have our activities. You got to kick them in the nuts a little bit sometimes. I don't know. I'd like to join the witness protection program, though, someday. Or I don't know. I mean, Jesus Christ. How much longer are we going to be able to survive the Fourth Reich? The 45th Reich. God damn it. It's a real buzzkill. I don't think people, it's if you're a cokehead demon like fucking Kimberly Guilfoyle or Trump Jr., you're probably going to be stoked to just rape and pillage for the next 4 years like a hostile takeover venture capitalist, like you're fucking Gordon Gekko, sliming your way into Greenland, you scummy piece of shit. You slithery coke slime. Please do not ban this stream. This stream has just been too lit. Please do not take it down, YouTube. Don't censor me, okay? This is a moment for freedom on the internet. We're taking back from the fact checkers, from the woke fact checkers. We're dismantling our DEI initiative so alpha males can rule. Real meritocracy. Let the billionaires fucking run shit. They're clearly the greatest human beings alive. They're all billionaires. They're clearly like the genetically chosen. The rest of us are shit. The rest of us are shit people. Our genetics are inferior. We should die. Bezos is a god. He's a god human. Mark Cuban, god human. Elon, king of the gods. Clearly. Trump, god. The rest of us are just putrid nothing beside them. I'm being sarcastic, obviously. Those are the people who are shit. We're the real souls. Money doesn't mean anything. In fact, if you're a billionaire, you're probably just rotten to the core. Like that Charlie XCX song says. How's Brat Summer working out for everybody, huh? Brat Summer ended badly. Brat Summer hit the fucking coke wall. Maybe you should have been paying a little more attention. Doing a little less blow in Ibiza. People just want to get out of the United States. Everybody was in Europe. Oh, boy. Not me, man. I was in the fucking Lower East Side. Were the last 2 years like the last good time? Or is it going to get better? Was the Biden era like, well, I'm worried culturally men are just going to get blamed for everything again. It's like it was hard to have fun for a decade because women hated us. That was no fun. We cannot go back to that. It doesn't seem like it's going back to that. It seems like people have just accepted that people are shitty amongst us and they wanted to vote for Trump. God knows why. It doesn't seem like we're quite getting completely blamed for it to the point that people are shunning us socially, and that's like acceptable. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Where are we going to be this time next year? We'll be wrapping up here in a sec. I don't know. Is this unprofessional to eat on the fucking air? Oh my god. Well, okay. Anything else I need to talk about? Thank you for watching. Good luck out there. Stay optimistic. Whatever happens, you just keep going, I mean, this seems to be how our lives have portioned out. It's like 1/3 of the time we have a terrifying Republican president, Bush, Trump, or, half the time we have, and I'm just seeing it through my own bias. There's probably who feel the opposite. When Clinton's the president, they're fucking terrified that, oh my god, Hillary's in the White House. Oh my god. Jimmy Carter died. That also feels like a bad sign. But, it's just, you have to get rid of old things to make space for new things. And maybe we're not young anymore, but we're still alive and we're still making things. I mean, for me, it's like, it's also like an artistic thing because my city life book feels kind of complete. These kind of New York diary pieces, they feel like they kind of captured a certain moment. That sort of post-pandemic bubble from when I got back in 21 until this now, the sort of Trump coming back. So it feels like maybe that's a good moment to sort of wrap that project up. I mean, that book feels like finished. It's like I have the LA book, I have the Paris book, I have the San Francisco book, and now this really feels like the New York book. It's huge, and it's got all that time and all that stuff that happened of those years. And so now it does feel like there's going to be a shift. And so that'll mean, well, what can we do now? Now it's time to change again. What are we going to do going forward? How are we going to respond? How are we going to make plays into this new moment, into this new era? How are we going to stay on the offensive? What new statements? I mean, I bought that printer with the pandemic money, so that was kind of the initiation of me making these chapbooks as a more of a I mean, it wasn't the first printer I ever had, but it's almost like having a home printing press or something. Like you're some kind of medieval fucking craftsman making books. It's a really good thing to do, and to it's easy. It's easy to. It's comparatively easy if you're writing stuff to just sort of like figure out how to throw a book together and publish it on your little home printer or whatever. It's very doable. And so in a certain way, bringing that back to New York, that started off a whole thing with all these people publishing magazines and books and stuff. And so now what will the next thing be? The election kind of showed us that streaming has arrived as sort of like this cultural fact and part of the media. I mean, I've been doing this pretty committed since the pandemic the first time, but now it's normalized and sort of accepted. So in a certain way, it's not surprising to me that the so-called manosphere is like as right wing. I mean, it was a surprise to me when I got on that stuff. How much Trump energy I was met with on Twitch, in the chat constantly, and so it's been there actually for years. I don't know, the Democrats should have been smart enough to see it and figure out a way to be cool. If Twitch is cool and fucking streamers are cool, Kai Cenat or whoever the fuck these people are, Aiden Ross or whatever the guy's name is, people on Kick, why don't the Democrats fucking dump some money in my stream? Why don't they dump some money on YouTube? Why are there not left-wing? Like, is it just because tech people own the algorithm and own all the money and they decide that what's going to go on YouTube is going to be right-wing because it benefits them? Or why aren't there left-wing people smart enough to dump money into cool creators on YouTube and people with voices and help them grow? That would be a way. I mean, now it's like Hassan Piker is like the left's streamer. It's kind of annoying. Kind of sick of seeing him. But in any case, I'm going to get off because everybody else got off. Thank you guys for watching. And we'll be back. We'll be keeping the stream alive and looking to the future. Making the future. Having a hand in it. To make sure it's not completely fucked up. All right. Thank you for watching. Good night, everybody.